which can contribute to the complete data understanding of each one of those things is really key. And it's the foundation for building an AI and machine learning strategy. And so we've got a lot of tools, and we can go back and perhaps reiterate some of those tools for data mapping from the sources. So we can treat your GIS or your spreadsheets or the model that you've already got for each building. So I mean, let's go to, in fact, I'll take that. Yeah. So as we go, and here's your model, but as we go down to each building, defining for every building what is the data set that we've got, and then going back and saying, well, okay, let's open that that data type, and say, well, okay, I've got a Cambridge building, but what data sources do I want to connect to it? And here's one that's connected through this mapping with functions and so forth. But I might want to line up information about buildings from source A, source B, source C, and I want to map them all to a common data structure of the buildings. Then I can point my AI at buildings and teach AI about buildings with a much richer but still well-formed data structure behind a building. It's not just the building data from this source or that source, but it's one consolidated view of your buildings or your trees or your land. So I think there's more potential here, Jeff, from what I've seen, to take spreadsheet data or other information from other asset systems that you have, and merge them into this common understanding of a building or a tree or a bridge and so forth. So I think there's more work to do there, but that foundation then helps us go down this path, which is about using AI. Firstly, building what's called an LLM, large language model, which is specific to your set of assets, but we can cross-reference with Chat GPT or other models, so that we can do natural language. Show me all of the trees that have got a growth range of this, or show me all the trees with health problems in this area. Let natural language search and have the system display that to you. Then we've got generative AI, using simple. We're doing that today. We can put, like from point cloud scans, and we can generate, very credible full 3D models just by putting a window around an image of something or a photograph and creating 3D models. So that's another area that we've done. We can, show that work. Semantic search, search rather than just searching by keywords, asking, key phrases, just making a more natural way for people to find things within the world. Then there's bringing together all of the documents, so not just linking data sources, but also Word documents, PDF documents, web pages, and being able to scrape all the data out of those things and infer relationships and create and make that part of the data model of the city. So when I ask questions, I can ask questions about, what regulations pertain to tree, growth in this area. Well, it'll actually show me the documents, and it will show you the trees, and it will show. So it can include, information from, document sources into the data model. That's the natural language query we talked about. And agents, and so we want to be able to build, using our APIs, we can create, little agents that might go and do a process. Like I have to notify, someone create a work order every time, a tree reaches a health status. There might be a work order that has to be generated. Rather than me having to do that manually, I can create a little agent that will go and do that, and in my work order system create the work order with the appropriate data filled in, or send Jeff an email, or but based on what's going on in the model. So that's part of the agent flow. I'll bring up, if you give me a moment, I'll bring up a little demo of something we've done, which shows the AI integrated into what we're doing Do you just bear with me? Sorry, I
Okay.
did this. I can hear any. Here we are. And so I've just got to make sure that I share the, when I share the screen, there's a way to make sure that it, here we are, share the sound. There we are. Can you hear the sound now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, there we go. So
managing and maintaining distributed infrastructure assets is a significant challenge. Artificial intelligence is increasingly assisting infrastructure operators in addressing this issue. Consider a large wind farm in a remote location with multiple turbines, substations, and transmission lines. Predicting faults in advance allows for the right personnel to be in the right place at the right time. Let's see how we can build a simple predictive maintenance AI model for a wind turbine for use with Nextspace. First, we use Orange, an open-source machine learning platform, to build and train the AI model. Orange lets us quickly drag and drop functionality to create a neural network AI model that
so
learns
these are
from
tools
historical
that
data,
your data guys can
identifying
do,
patterns
or
and
we can do,
predicting
we can
potential
find people to
issues.
help. And
So Orange is one of the what things in Nextspace or something? Or is that...
it's a so these are tools that exist. They're open source tools for people for doing the data analysis, building the AI models. They're not, what we do is we integrate with these tools, which means that these tools can be used, and you can choose. There's a variety of them, from Microsoft to open source, and they're the sort of tools that set up the learning, which takes the data. And in this case, you see what's going on is this system has been used to analyze data from failures, and then saying, well, what were the status of the the machines in terms of their
Nextspace's Python
RPMs,
API can integrate
vibrations,
with other
that
tools
we
such
then
as
use to
Altair's
predict the failure.
RapidMiner, NIME,
Yeah.
Alteryx Designer.
So it's about integrating with the tools within. Then we've made it possible for these AI tools to talk directly to the API of Nextspace, and control Nextspace, and vice versa.
SageMaker, and Python libraries like PyTorch, TensorFlow, and JAX. Here we can see a training pipeline to train, evaluate, and test the performance of the neural network. Once successfully trained and tested, the neural network AI model is published as a web service and integrated using Nextspace Flow.
So Nextspace Flow is the thing that we've put together.
Nextspace Flow is a low-code visual builder for AI workflows.
So it's made little agents, and
This
out
platform
of our
connects our
API
incoming
that you
sensor
connect
data
to
with
this.
a new predictive model
Oh, cool.
and with a large language model, LLM, to create work orders in both English and Maori. Finally, we visualize the results in the digital twin of the wind turbine. The prediction is added to the properties, Kalu styling is triggered to show fault, and the translated work order appears in the comments.
So
That's pretty cool.
there's work to be done. I think everyone's got this idea that you just throw a whole lot of data at AI, press a big green button, and everything's great. It's there's complexity, but at the base of it is the more that you can organize and structure the data to train the AI, and give it that, the more you're going to be able to trust what AI does with that data and what it tells you. And that's one of the big challenges, is trustable AI operation. And so again, all the more reason to get the data prepared and then display it, communicate it, and integrate it with a proper ontology system. So with that, it's it still has to be done case by case. Really, Jeff, saying, look, we want to, here's our top level problem. We want to make suggestions that do this, and then do it in order. Well, what data are we going to need to train an AI model to do that with? and then structuring that data together. And that's about using the tool. So it's a project-based approach to the implementation of AI with all of the tools that you see in place to link things together.
Yeah, that's yeah, that is pretty cool. I'm trying to think of like how they can use this. I know we've had more like amazing amount of hot days. So obviously urban heat is something
Mhm.
that is one of the conversations that's constantly going on. They've been mapping out, places that cooling centers, water fountains, shade, and we're always tracking tree canopy from, we do tree canopy studies, but they're snapshots in time. Um, but we do get aerial imagery quite often from program we have Nearmap, and so
Yeah.
maybe not waiting for every 5 years to see how our tree canopy grows. Maybe it's something that we can see shading in a more real time, not real time, but a more, timely manner than these snapshots.
Absolutely. These can all be, charted and graphed now, over time. So, we have, let's see, the polygons. Have I got the charts? I thought I had the charts in here one. Let's go. So this is heat, all the heat map stuff around Auckland, bringing it in, and there we are. There's the charting. So we've got these charts we can bring and we can trace, any individual sort of polygon or something and deliver these charts over time. We can even go into time and play, back, and we can look, what happened at this time. Um, we can
And
see
where's
live
this
view.
data coming from? This
Th- this is coming from a set of historical data, but if you've got real-time data, it can always set. So I can go into live mode or play mode. Live mode is where I'm looking at real-time data that might be coming from a network of IoT sensors of temperature around the city. And the play mode will go back and actually play back, data from previous, stored records up to the current. So it's a bit like your live sports display on the on your cable, channel. You can be
yeah.
in live mode or rewind.
And these are from sensors that are out there, or is this just the climate?
This particular one is sensors that have been put out and studies done, and it's not linked to live. But I can, show you examples of
No,
live where.
I'm just wondering how you get the variations between, the
Oh,
hexagons,
yeah, I think these actually may have been done. This came from an engineering company. I think these were actually done from infrared photography, in fact, over time.
No, no
Um,
kidding.
yeah, yeah. I can't remember the sensors, but you can see the data here. Um,
Well, those
there's
hexagons must be sensor locations.
I think they're it's a grid.
Mhm.
A conceptual grid. You can see, I'm changing over time if I play. Um, that things change over time as we go through and change. You can see the colors changing. I have to check actually, Jeff, but I think this might have been done from infrared photography taken over days, and measured, from that, and then the data mapped back to points, which are then grown into what hexagon patch did they fall into, and so the data is at a patch. So each into every one of these is its own data,
Mhm.
um, object. You can see, that's the current time at the moment that we're playing through. But
Mhm.
um,
So, Jeff, I mean, I think, I mean, it's pretty apparent that all the tools are here, but we probably need to, in a way, work backwards from your user story. And so I think the big challenge is really finding out what the most important priorities are for the sustainability um, group there and the new director and the people. and then we can work backwards and rapidly create a concept and a solution. So, I mean, we have rather than trying to create a new, sort of technical achievement with Nextspace, because these things are happening all the time with different customers and they're happening on Nextspace all the time. We should just focus on where we, if it's creating a real time, or a dashboard that has, compressed timeline data and predictability for trees and for canopy loss and canopy gain, then we focus on that and focus on the data and focus on shading and go that direction. If it's more of a general, community interactive site where it uses more of a chat agent where people can figure out where to go if they need shelter from bad weather, or they, don't want to be exposed to heat, or they want to go to parks and they want to enjoy, then you build your solutions based on that. So I think finding out exactly what sustainability wants. I mean, I've read their plans and all that, and they have broad goals.
They do. If you look at those broad goals, it will they're just, you're going to be all over the place. Which I think that maybe the person, that the chief climate officer is sometimes all over the place. But my hope was that I'd be a little up ahead of myself, is that I would have some time on Nextspace. I would be able to clean up the buildings, have them have them where I wanted to be, and then I wanted to join some data in from we have some pretty complex data from the building energy ordinance and some other sustainability. That's what I want to join up into the buildings, and then joining a building ID, have a table there, and then be able to and then have you folks look through all the different attributes that are in this building ordinance, which is it's a lot going on there. And then we could come up with some ideas. So I was going to start with the buildings.
Great, yeah.
The tree canopy is something that certainly I'm actually looking for. We're just about, I think I was supposed to get the data for the tree crowns and centroids and of all the city trees that have been done from a pretty recent flyover, 2020. I believe it's 2024 data so it's not even a year, it's just about a year old, and we could use that for some of the shading things as well. And then for heat, I'm still trying to figure out how I can get more data on heat.
Look, that sounds very doable, Jeff. I mean, I think, this is currently, this is the data. Do you know where did this data come from? Kevin, is this?
So this is all data that's just part of the building layer. That most of it is not. It doesn't have all. There's a couple different IDs. The one that says the field got cut off says building I. That is the building ID that they're using for a lot of the sustainability projects. This model ID is just something that we've been using for 3D models to track the name, which we had another guy, Paul Cody, who's helped us a little bit. And then down below there, those other, I'm not sure these issues in location, but this all needs to be cleaned up. I'm excited to try to go in here and clean this thing up and feel this is where I wanted to be today. I wanted to say, hey, look at this. I've got this data. I've cleaned up the data. I've linked up some tables. I have. We can do a lot of things programmatically. The one person that hasn't worked on 3D is our guy Sean Sweeney, who's unbelievable. He used to teach Python in one of the universities here. He can do coding. I've never used him. He's my, I use him for everything else but not 3D. But I think this will be the time I'll have him come in and help me with stuff like this. So but I'm not there yet. I'm getting there.
That's right.
But and then I do want to go. I want to go. So the sustainability folks, they meet once every 2 weeks, and I want to go to one of their meetings, show them what I have in the system, then ask them, give me 5 top priorities or something like that, instead of just saying everything, because that's what the director will say, everything. But there'll be specific, planners that are there, and say, oh, this is what I'm doing, and I know there's, one of our most engaged users it works on heat stuff, and she's starting to, unfortunately, these people they do great work and then they leave. But she's meeting with the governor and they're doing all kinds of stuff. So I'd like to get her while she's enthused and she still works with the city, and then we can get a program underway. And then maybe they'll just have a contract and they'll hire just for her stuff. So.
Yeah.
Get me out of the middle because I'm just like a middleman here, but I gotta introduce them to the, I mean, and then think up new stuff to be able to come in and host it and get it on the website and everything. So,
I think it'd be a great little project initially, Jeff, just a small crawl sort of a thing to say, let's get, that data set. So you've got another data set about the buildings that you would like to link into that attribute set. So you'd like to add some more attributes and values into each building, yeah?
Yeah, I need to clean this up. I just spent literally over a month cleaning up these building IDs, found all kinds of problems with it, both in the address database, the building layer, and then our address point, which is actually leads us, that will get us over to, ownership from the tax parcel.
Right.
Huge amount of cleanup, but it's like I've gone as far as I can. There's not one thing left not one more data integrity check to run. Found a lot of errors. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened over the years that we haven't, so
Sure.
that's what I want to clean up all of the data that's in there, and we can do that using like spatial joins to the 3D buildings, and then maybe, I don't know, we might have to bring the buildings in again. I don't know, but we may be able to do it through tabular ways, through some join.
There's a lot of tools in here, Jeff, also that can do that directly within Nextspace once the data's in. And I think we want to make sure that you're aware of all of the tools, like, the data lab tools for doing, all of that sort of thing where, we search by type and, we search and we do run the filters and entity type. We're looking for all of the buildings, where is the Cambridge buildings? Yeah. And so we get all of them, full schema of type search. There's no buildings of that type. There's no full schema Cambridge textured. That building fresh. So that was a good test already. So here's all your buildings, and then we can take actions, apply data transformations, do joins. So you've got all of these capabilities, in here to help clean up. And so being aware, and one of the other things that we want to do is to, as we go to the buildings, we might go to that building, we look at the data schema. We want to make sure that these are all the attributes you need to add any more. But if you've got a spreadsheet that you've got, you can bring in, which we can key and say, well, I can link the model building ID there to your input spreadsheet. We can do that in a matter of, minutes. If you've got a spreadsheet, we can just go import that spreadsheet in here. So import the file, bring in your spreadsheet, drag and drop, and then we can immediately say that will create an entity type, which will be the spreadsheet, and it will have its own data schema. And then we can merge that. So in the same, let's see if I can hack something there. But so we go data schema and we go data sources and we add a new data source, like this, and we join it. And so that would be your spreadsheet. We go, well, we link the model ID and we make that the foreign key. And we only have to do one thing. So as soon as we've done that, then it will know which data to pull out of the spreadsheet and populate your building model. So I think there's probably a mini project here to take, some example data and show you how to use these tools, directly to do your data joining right here. You don't need to rely on other tools or Python. It's actually right here in the system.
Yeah, that's great because I know Peter probably doesn't want to hear this, but it may be worth unloading and reloading the buildings because if I'll do some integrity checks for the 3D buildings, but if I find tons of changes. There may be, you know, because I've not even kidding you, a month been cleaning up the data, the building IDs. And there are some problems with those building IDs. But I think what I need to do is I need to make 2D footprints from the 3D footprints, and then I need to compare the updated 2D buildings to the 3D building footprints that are, you know, in our latest model, and then see what they match inside what the data that we have in Nextspace, because then I can link all the data. It will just be well, the other approach is just to pick the big buildings or something like that, but it'd be nice to, because we have a lot of energy reporting that's even for smaller buildings, because anything that, you know, because of new zoning regulations, they have to report, you know, if you've updated your building more than 50%. So smaller buildings are getting, you know, they are reporting with some of these things, and with some of, you know, with this building energy ordinances, and certainly the sustainable buildings. There's different flavors of sustainable buildings, you know, different types, and they're all coming, you know, we're getting all this new data from, I think this new zoning bylaw is probably like 2.5 years old, but we're starting to get all kinds of metrics on these buildings that have had to go through that process. And that's what the sustainability people are interested in. I'm trying to get them interested so they'll keep, you know, they'll branch out, you know.
Yeah. Well, the critical thing, if we can get an agreed, you know, ID, you know, infrastructure, and what we're doing is we're overlaying, you know, this, so we create this unique ID on top of everything. And we're using, you know, to uniquely identify each building or thing of interest, or floor in a building, or chair in a floor in a building, you know, gets its ID. But ultimately, if you can agree that this building I, or the model idea, one of these things, building I, it sounds like it, is the common joining strategy, then the goal is for whatever the data set coming in is to identify on a per entity basis, you know, like a per record basis, which is what is the building I for it. The moment that we have that, then we can automatically populate all of this data with as many sets of attributes as you've got data sources really, really quickly, because I can just draw a line. Let me bring up what I might do is, if you'll excuse me bringing up a let's see, we're just trying to think of the one to bring up. I will bring up the, I'm going to show, if you'll excuse, Jeff, I'm going to use an example from a piece of plant and process, just to highlight this, if you can get your head around. I'm showing off a bit of scan data. So this is scan data from a little power plant thing, and in here you'll see these tags, or sorry, we just go. There we are. So this is the scan quality now that you can get, you know, in performance, you know, around the place. It's pretty good. But these tags here, I'm just going to delete that one because I remember, and we'll add it again. But this might show the concept. So I have a model. There's no intelligence in it whatsoever. But whether I have a building or some visual tag, I'm going to put in an instrument. I'm just going to tag it like this. Now that thing could be the building or whatever, but the fact that I've labeled it as an instrument, it already has a data schema of all of this information. If we have a look at it, just like the building, it has an entity type. So pretend this is a building for a moment. Here's its data schema of all of the attributes that we typically want on a building. And you can add more yourself manually, or you can do it, you know, through adding data sources. So when I go, okay, well, here's my building, but I want to add a data source to it. So I've imported a spreadsheet. So in here is a spreadsheet that I brought in. And if I look at it, you know, it's a spreadsheet of, with a name, and, there's a whole bunch of records, and there's a tag name, and, so it's just a spreadsheet that's come in through my file, bring it in, or I've connected to it. So now I want to go to the instrument and say, well, actually, I want to connect that instrument data to my from the spreadsheets to the instrument. So I go to the data source and I go new, and I click and I add this to it. And then I say, I'd like to edit how they're joined together. So I go edit, and we could start again, or I can draw, from line to line. I go, I would like Rev to be there, and I would like this one to be there, and I'd like to take that prefix, I'd like to concatenate those two address fields together into one address field, and I'd like to automatically work out what my lat long is and my position from an address, or I'd like to figure out my address from a lat long. I can do both things. So I can automatically fill in data that's not there from geocoding, or doing check, find, swap lat long, do some calculation. I can do things like check, for missing data. There's all sorts of functions I do, but fundamentally, I've chosen this tag name as the linking concept between them. So when I go back into here, and I just added an instrument and said, well, I know for an instrument, these are all of the attributes I should see for an instrument or a building. But these are all just linked data sets. I don't have to put them in directly. They're linked from all my sources that I've set up. But if I take the key name and I get the right tag name, i.e. my building ID, and I put this in here. So this might be my building ID. I go PI-1025, and I'm cheating because I happen to remember this is a valid building ID. So I put this in here, Jeff, and I go save, just by putting that one tag number in, and it's populated all of the other data here automatically for that. And that's the same thing for the building. Because of that mapping that was set up, just by knowing the building ID or the tag ID, I've now connected that building to 1, 10, 20, 30 different data sources and all of their attributes. Because each, oh, sorry, you're on mute there, Jeff.
Oh yeah, had to sneeze. I didn't want to sneeze on the call. Yeah, no, we've got them. It's like I'm excited to try to like bring it all together. I think that there's some data that I haven't even seen yet because of the reporting one, we call the BUTO, but it's the Building Energy Ordinance. We have that, that data. We've been working on that data, but there's another guy that's doing nothing but working on sustainable buildings. So I want to get data from him. Plus, I also want to link it up to the assessing data. Not so much for ownership, but just because that tells me a little bit more about a lot of the systems inside the building. That whether that data is good or not, well, it's ours to find out. But there's also, there's a lot of information in there, and then maybe even permits.
And have those data sets, have they got the building I attribute, that could be one of the fields in their data sets?
Well, the building, it's building ID. The D got cut off, but building ID is actually the unique ID for each individual building, but it also links up to our address points or our master address database, and so that gets us to the tax parcel and the ownership, our ownership records. So it also gets us to the addresses that we can bring in some commercial type stuff, or we can do joins on some of the stuff that Kevin showed me over time, that Google has Google Places and stuff like that, because I think that could be interesting because, also maybe land use or whatever, so building ID is really the key for me to get over that. That model ID is just something we use in 3D. That's specific to the 3D model, but building ID is the one. Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, I was just thinking in terms of an action item, maybe over the next 2 weeks, we can reach out to your sustainability guy that's doing all the building sustainability and see if we can get a data set from him that you can bring in.
I have the data.
You have the data,
but the guy that's doing I need to reach out to him first. He's been asking me for built the buildings that he wanted to send it off to one of the state offices for, let me see what he said. I just sent him an email today, but let me just take a
Yeah.
quick look and see what he's doing.
So you've got a spreadsheet there, have you, Jeff, with the sustainability data and a building ID in one of the attribute fields or the columns?
I do. Yes, I do for the building. I have one that's newer than what we have on our open data portal because we've been working on this map for
right. If you wanted to, I would almost say if you wanted to give me that spreadsheet now, I could join that to all these buildings, or at least all the
I don't
ones
have a
that
spreadsheet. I'd have to well, I got to go fishing for it because the newer one, I could download something from the data site, but if if you're doing this for the sake of nothing that would be permanently in, the Nextspace,
we can take it out just to show you the concept, how quick it is. If you have a spreadsheet, which is essentially got, the columns at the top, which is, the attribute names, and one of the columns is building ID, and all the rows are, the data. I can join that to this buildings and add on every building. We can do that in 2 minutes, 5 minutes.
All right, give me a minute. I just gotta.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to search for. There may be one. I'm looking for a project directory, which we may have that is faster than taking something off of the open data site.
Sure.
So, but just
Sure.
So Jeff, that data is also on the open data site. There's
an older version of it. Yeah.
Older version. Okay. Because what I'd like to do is I'd like to run it in the model and query it for questions and
we can once we link it, Kevin, it's all potentially doable. So the first step is just to show, I think, Jeff, just how easy it is to merge in a data set like this onto these buildings.
Yeah. So we can merge in and clean up all the data and present it. I think we need a master building set, right? That has all the data that we want to bring in.
Yeah, and that's how we create it, is we just start here. I don't think we necessarily need to, if these buildings are all pretty consistent with the building ID, then that's a great start. We don't have to worry about the data itself. We can clean that up and remerge it. We've got a whole bunch of buildings with the right building ID. We have the foundation all done. It's all done.
Yeah. So every single one of these buildings were created by CyberCity in this model, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
And would you say that the building ID is pretty much correct for all of them, Jeff, or is there still?
Well, that's what I'm just saying. I've just went through and cleaned up a whole lot of things. So I mean,
Right.
yeah, but for the most part, the majority of them are. I mean, I probably, even though I did a ton of edits, it's actually, it's a small percentage that aren't,
Yeah, and you can fix those later. But so, then I'd say you've got the basis already here, Jeff, for all of the combined model. I don't think you necessarily need to reload anything. We can
I'm
just
trying to find it now. Finding
Yeah.
this
We can marry
data
all
on
the
fly
data.
is a little challenging. I
I'm
thought they
also
had the.
I'm just going to make it so that when you hover over the buildings, they show the building ID. So we'll do that.
All right, I'm getting there. I can't watch you and look at this, so I'm not.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm just showing. So that's. Did you see that one, Peter?
Yes.
So now
I've been using the data lab to do a lot of this
Do it.
stuff.
excellent. Oh,
Yeah.
good to know. So there we are. Yeah, we get the building ID hovering over any building.
Yeah, just to give you a
Sort of
head, Jeff, I have like 5 versions of your data set right now. So it would be
I
nice
believe it.
to pick one right now and just keep doing
Well, that's why I
it,
wanted
because-
to go. That's why I wanted to be a
That's
little more prepared for this meeting. I'm a little upset with myself that I couldn't do it, but I had to take care of other projects. So
No worries,
it's
no worries.
balancing
We'll
my
get to it.
time.
But I mean, we don't,
Staff vacations have been like, there's been people out all summer long, so I've been covering for people too. So things I usually don't do.
But Jeff, I mean, as long as you have the 3D files with the IDs, we can clean up the data on the back end.
Yeah,
That's what Mark's saying.
Yeah.
So we don't have double buildings. We don't have 3 versions of the same model sitting there. Like we might have 3 different information files for the building, but we basically, these are, you have every building, you've cleaned them all up as much as I mean, you've done so much editing on these buildings.
Yeah,
and
this looks
you even
great.
had Wang split them up, and we've done splits, I mean, this is a really well curated
Yeah,
data set.
this
We
is
just got to
this
clean up
is
the back end,
this is
the
a
data fields.
yeah, this is fantastic finish. Now you've got this building ID in here, Jeff. This is fantastic base for building out the consolidated data model. Everything's here. Just need to get the
Wow.
data sources now that have the
Yeah.
IDs in them.
Exactly. And then, we can figure out, also, Jeff, we can figure out the sensors and what they're actually doing. And we can, we just have to do a little due diligence. Jeff even has the bridges. We even modeled all the bridges as well. We have a lot of infrastructure.
They need a building ID. I noticed there's no building ID on the bridges.
No, they need to be attributed with an ID, I guess. So
Well, are they?
yeah.
Oh, they're a bridge. They're different entity types. They don't have a building ID on them yet as a thing.
They're a separate group.
Yeah, it's all right.
And then across the bay there is Boston. So
yeah.
Eventually, when we get all this done, we can show it to Boston and say, hey, look what we did.
Yeah.
All right. I sent it's old data. This is not the data that, because I'm trying to do this on the fly, but
No, that's great. Did you send it by email? Did you, Jim?
I sent it by email. So it's a CSV file. There's also ability to do an API endpoint here from our data.
We'll model it with the just with a CSV to start off with. But we could do it as an endpoint, absolutely. So the data can be live from your other data source. There's no problem with that either.
Because they update this all the time. I need to find out. So
okay. So
the project manager gave her notice, but the guy that does all the data work, he's here to stay, and that's the guy I need to talk to anyway when I'm doing this. He's the one I've been sending all my updates to. I'm like, and he's thrilled that I'm doing updates. So, but they work with our data analytics team and our open data guys. So anyway, so that data is, I should probably put I'll put in the link here of what this is actually is,
this is good. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm about, give me a moment, Jeff. This is going to be exciting. We're going to be able to link it in.
Okay.
So Mark, if we are exporting the data from the open data portal, should it be a CSV file or should it be?
Yeah. What we're looking for, like I'm just bringing up the file now. Give me a second.
Okay.
This is the page it's about that data that I just put in there. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put in the chat.
There we go. That's every building's energy use, or just the sustainable?
The ones that have to report to this building energy ordinance.
Okay.
So buildings that are over a certain size, all the university buildings, the bigger buildings, any building that
Terrific.
Not all, but many.
So let's just take a look at this data.
I got to be honest with you, I'm not sure about a lot of these fields. What they are actually telling us.
That's all right. That's all right, though.
But for a demo, it's so.
That's fine. So which is the building ID? Is this one reporting ID?
No, it's not the reporting ID. So if you're, it's in here. I saw it because I made sure it was in here. So so it says buildings included. Row K. Is that the building ID? It is, but I noticed that they have that's just not one to one. They've added two of them and some of them. That's so I don't know. Maybe
there's a way. Yeah, there'll be a way to untangle that. But for the moment,
you just want to just say that all that match or something. Matching records.
Yeah. So
I've never looked at this. So I have better data than this. I just on the fly because we're. Katie's been working on a map with, even my intern's been working on this map. So there's another data set somewhere, but I just couldn't find it on the fly.
Yeah, no, that's right. Let's have a go. Let's see what happens. I mean, who knows? So you open the operator up and we go to the entities and we import the file and I go to, and I drag and drop the file in, and I say that I want it comma delineated, and this is how we're interpreting it. Yeah, proceed.
Very clean.
And I'm just going to add new data. So we're not even going to bother. We could try and join it at the time that we're bringing in, but I won't worry about that. We're just bringing it as its own data source. Proceed. And this is the mapping that it does from, the data source there to, a new data type in the system. So I'm going to do the import. We can come back and do more, and that will take. So I should have checked actually. Did it have lat longs and stuff in there as well? Did it? Doesn't
Yeah, that might
matter.
be for the reporting, so.
Yeah, it doesn't. We won't use those in the end because all is going to bring this in, and we could display the raw data into the 3D view. But what we want to do now is we want to take this data and join it to the buildings that are already there, so the buildings become, the central point of this. So here we are. It's getting there. And you could run, once you brought this in, we could run all sorts of data cleansing and do those splitting things out of the buildings. We could be really clever and, do the matching before we do the mapping as well. But we won't.
It's already been done. I just don't know where the file
Yeah.
is. I pulled this off our open data portal, but that's not even this isn't even recent data. All the recent data, which is the
That's
one that we
fine.
care about the most, is in a different directory. I just can't find it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna Peter can delete this, bring some, but anyway, you can see we brought it in, here's the building data. We look at, this is the data schema that's been created for a building energy use, like it's found these, and that's all the data. And then we go, well, let's view all of the, the list of the data. So sure enough, there's 77 pages and all of this kind of stuff of the data. But the idea here is then we go to Cambridge buildings and we go, let's add a data source to the Cambridge buildings. And so we go new, and we choose the ones that we just brought in here, and I save that, and then I edit this. And so now we go, well, what do I want to do? I want to bring that in. Well, I'm going to copy the attributes to a substructure. So all of these attributes are going into a substructure now of buildings, under the ordinance. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to take that, and I'm going to, sorry, the model ID. I think I can do that. So I've gotten joined. So I'm keeping a record of the building ID down here for records, which will bring all of it through. And then this one, and hopefully it won't say, I'm going to say is the foreign key. So that's going to join this data set to this data set.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to save that now. Now, I might want to do other functions like split things apart and do calculations on this. And, we can worry about that later. We can do it any time. But so I'm just going to save that now. So now when I go to a building, let's see how we got on. We'll refresh that. So let's click on a building, and sure enough, it's brought in all of the stuff, and the reporting ID hasn't. So the data scheme is there. We'll see if any of them become. It might not have liked, the multiple values and not done the mapping because of that. But you can see that every one of these, if we go back to the mapping, we'll see whether we can. We're getting the reporting ID is coming across, and let's just save that.
Now, not every building has information on it, so that's the thing is that let me point you to one that does. Let me just quickly look at this
Yeah,
map here.
sure.
You know, because there's some buildings that that need to report, but you know, if you could scroll to the left, go to a university, go to an MIT building because they all report. And so the MIT buildings are over like that big tall one there with the the green building. Now if that one would have had a report in it, you know, and so yeah, something didn't join. It didn't like something
Yeah,
on that join, you know.
oh, hang on. I know what. I haven't. Just a second. I may not have done that.
I'll take a look at. I think there's a map somewhere that I can.
That should be the model ID, the reporting ID. Let me just model ID. Don't need. Yeah, I should get that one across. The key, the reporting ID. I'm wondering if I've got a problem with the reporting ID. No, that should be. I'm going to delete that one just in case. Save that one. That's the foreign key. Yeah, it should be right. Model ID, there we are. And reporting ID. No, it's not liking it, I think, because it's got the links are broken. So it's got the key. That's correct. Cam. Is that, just make sure that's the same structure as in the CAM. Yeah, see, there's no CAM.
Let's see.
Yeah,
I
it's just
found
the
it.
number. Yeah, it's just the number. All these buildings here are building ID. I've linked it to the model ID. That's
Yeah, that CAM thing. Don't
yeah,
even.
yeah. Sorry,
Model ID is not. That's just the.
yeah.
That's
Sorry, no, I thought I'd done it. My apologies. Let's do that to the building ID. Maybe
I
that
have a hard
will.
time where it says I'm looking to go to building ID, but it's so small I can't see the where you're joining to. So
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm building. I'm joining the building.
building
I was
ID
joined.
to
Yeah, I
okay,
did was on the model ID. So let's save that one, and
yep.
let's
And that
take a look.
table to the left of was building ID. Okay.
Yeah. So let's just see here. As I say, there's any number of things that could have gone wrong, doing this on the fly, but fundamentally, there we have there, and reporting ID. So building
Yeah.
ID 6. So that's the key. So that's all right.
Could you zoom in a little bit on this guy right here? Because you don't want it on reporting ID. You want it to. If you could just zoom in a little bit more, I
Oh,
just can't see it.
yeah. Sorry. That's Thank you. I'm making all sorts of mistakes here on the fly,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, reporting
just
ID is not going to join anything because
no,
I'm looking
no.
at building ID from there. So
Yeah. No, that's right. I'll fix that in a moment.
I think it's buildings included. It's under year
Yes,
built,
buildings
buildings
included.
included.
Yeah, buildings included. It's this one. Yeah. So I want to go to building idea to buildings
Buildings,
included.
not the count. That one, the one you're on. I think that's the one. That may work.
Buildings included. There we go. And
We will not be denied.
see. Let's give it another shot here. We got the schema across anyway. You saw how we made some progress. So here, and we go down. and we see the owner. Oh, yeah, we've got data in here.
Yeah, you got some stuff here. Yeah.
So that's filled in all of that data by having that reporting ID correct.
Yeah, yeah, it's on the building.
There you
Building
are.
ID
So
that-
yeah. So
As I said, we have cleaned up data to make this work in a map because that thing, somebody cleaned it up. I just don't know
Yeah.
where it is, so.
yeah, so there we are.
But-
And so if you've got data about any of your buildings, that's now
Yeah.
joined in there.
So not every building will have information on it, but
Yeah, so far it's pretty good.
yeah, the bigger ones should, but unless the bigger ones are new. So
Yeah.
some of there's some in here, and again, this data is 2 years old, but
Yeah.
like
Anyway, you get the idea,
yeah, no, I do
and
get the yeah.
yeah, and you can change that, and that could be like a live source. So, if we set up through the API, then this stuff is simply going to report whatever's in your existing GIS or your other light system.
Yeah, leave that in there for now. That's good. I'll take a look at it and see if I can. But it's like I get the. Yeah, well, that's what I want to do. It's like I want to be able to go to this data in a cleaned up way and some other sustainable building data set. So, but so the building ID, unfortunately, it was done 20 something years ago, and if I could roll back time, I would have had a better way of doing it than those building IDs that I have that are they go by a block. And every block had a number, and then every building is unique number, and so it was a little weak, because there's all it as I've seen, I made all kinds of mistakes entering data, got emissions, but they all cleaned up now. So
Yeah. Oh, look, hopefully that was
something else I can
useful.
do, not to like scare Peter and say I want to replace all the buildings, is to run something from these buildings and just find out which ones are don't match, and then just go clean up, have my intern just go through, and if it's 200 buildings, and just go clean up the IDs, so.
Yeah. When you say don't match, because you could run what's called a little data lab query, Jeff, what would be the rule? What would you be looking for?
The building ID didn't match because it was entered wrong, or there's just changes that have happened, so.
You mean it's either missing or the value doesn't fit the right pattern, or what?
Yeah, there was some mistakes in the building IDs that I had found over some time here, So I mean, this is a snapshot of 2023, and I've updated my buildings over 2025, but I could figure that out from my edit
Yeah.
dates and just know that it was just, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
For what we needed to do, if we're doing something internally with staff, it's okay. If I'm doing something, and they get into the weeds and they need to be more accurate, then we fix it. Or if it's going to be public facing, which would be ideal sometime, then we fix it, so, but
Right.
like we're doing now, and I get better data than the data I
Yeah.
gave you, but.
I'm just sort of writing, like your query, like find this is what you can do in this data lab. If you can write the rule that says, find everything with this field that doesn't match this rule or that rule, we can do it. We just have to define what bad means in a rule-based sense, and you can run it through this data lab, and it will then do a report, and it will even automatically fix them if you can come up with a rule for what to do to fix them, or it'll just flag them to, for export and re-import.
Yeah, kind of thing as I go along. Yeah, no, it certainly can be done automated with easier to fix the ID, because there's a lot of fields in there right now that really don't mean a whole lot, and they can be knocked out for this. But that's why we want to link this other data up that is more meaningful.
Yeah, and then you can go and you see how you just go in there and you go back to the entity type, and we would turn off, in the data scheme, you'd either delete them or unpin them so they're not, on by default.
Yeah.
You just, turn them off, issues count, or, I don't know.
Yeah, leave them up for
turn
now. We'll take a look at it later.
Yeah.
So.
But it doesn't delete them, it just hides them from the default display, and then you can customize the display, which will just show these 4 or 5. Anyway, I hope that was useful little exercise.
Yeah, no, it shows it can be done, not too hard, pretty easy, and so we'll clean stuff up. So,
rename that
Yeah.
something friendlier.
So,
Yeah.
what we've been doing with, in the Esri environment is that we'll drape the mesh over the buildings, but you can still click on them, and you can do it here too. And so people relate to it. We haven't really done much with those textured buildings that are just in that one area with the high buildings, just because we haven't really wrapped our arms around how to, we've got them inside here, but they need to, somebody needs to go through those. But there's only, that's another great intern job for me, is to like go through these and clean these up, and get the fields in there that we need.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is that we haven't got them in a format that we can bring in Esri. So all the buildings that were done before, we got them in years ago, and then the new ones we never got in. And so I have somebody helping me with that. It's the project after next, so.
Right. Is the Google token not there anymore, Kevin?
Excuse me?
Is the Google token not there anymore?
Oh, I don't think.
Oh, you might want to check
I
that
think I did
Google
that on
token.
my account.
I think Jeff. Yeah, that might be Jeff's
I'm gonna
token.
just check that because it's not low. It's not currently
Let me
on
take a
TV
look here,
working.
and
Yeah. It, oh, I don't think we had this one. The token, that was an old one. I had two
Yeah,
tokens. This is probably an old one, probably expired. It was like
just
a,
yeah. If you could get Jeff's one, put it in there,
yeah,
then you get the 3D because you can also run the style, on all those
yeah.
buildings. Where you got the transparent buildings. Yeah, there you go. And so you can still
Kevin,
get
you want to
all the
bring out
data
the issue of the
underneath the.
Google Maps issue? Remember the licensing? What did you
Yeah.
bring up?
What? I'm sorry. What, Peter?
The Google licensing. Remember you were talking about it over the
Oh,
weekend?
yeah. So, this is mainly for Street View. It's not really as much for photorealism, but Google likes it when you use Street View projected on their maps, right? Not on other
yeah,
maps. And it's part of the reason why I think Esri doesn't use a lot of Google stuff, because Google will go after Esri. But they don't really, I mean, as long as we have access to a Google map on the map, then I don't
No,
think we have any
we've
issue.
actually cleared this with Google. Google are absolutely 100% with what we're doing here. So
Yeah, that's what I thought.
so we
I
just
did.
we just need your Google token. Jeff, do you have it by any chance handy?
I don't know. We generated, Kevin and I, we did it, but I don't. I'm trying to. I was looking through my Google account, and
Do you have it? Just put it in the because yeah, this one's obviously not working. If you can find it, I'll just poke it in there. If you poke it in the chat, I'll put it back in here.
this is
Yeah,
an excellent question.
I don't think you sent it to me, did you, Jeff? The
I
token?
thought we generated one. I thought we did it, and
Yeah,
we
that
put
one
it
looks
in
like
here.
ours. That one looks like ours.
Yeah, and that's not working, by the way. So it
Maybe we didn't. Maybe we didn't do it. I thought we did it, but maybe we didn't. Maybe we just put yours in because I was struggling with the. Um, I'm looking through my notes here.
Well, we can put ours in there, and then when you generate yours, we can just swap it out.
have you got your one handy? The latest
Peter,
one
do you have ours?
Yeah. Give me a second.
Just pop it in the chat and see if
Right.
that's the problem.
Pulling it up right now. Okay, here we go. Okay, I threw it in chat. You should have it.
Yeah, there we go. Now that looks. Oh no, it is slightly different.
Yeah, it is different. Yeah, because I always go with the last three digit. It's always different.
Save. Okay, done. So let's try it, save, and let's just. There we go. And the transparent buildings. So there you are. So you've now got this effect that we're looking at, but all the buildings, you're still getting the data behind them.
Yep. So are those tiles coming from a server in New Zealand, Mark, or you think that's a Google server in United States?
It'll be a Google server in the United States. So it's just,
Yeah, it's our account, Kevin, so it should come from the US.
Yeah.
so but that's you can see the effect there of
Yeah, looks
So
good.
Yeah.
we'll make a bookmark there. So there was the Google Mesh. There we go. And we'll turn on the transparent. Yeah, no, they've already got a bookmark for that. Yeah, here we go.
Looks nice.
And these are all working.
Nice.
Yeah. With all of you see the data. Some of them have, some of them don't.
I wonder if City Hall reports. You think they would? I guess there's
Yeah,
some
they
stuff
do, yeah.
in there.
Yeah, there's some stuff there. Not much.
I'm just, it's funny, while we were talking, another email rolled in from Katie working on the Budo buildings, and she's asking the same thing about that field that has multiple. I don't even know if she knows that there was multiple IDs on there. She's just joining stuff,
Yeah.
But she says that there was 1,014 records in Budo, so it's not it's not a ton of the buildings, but they're important buildings. So
Yeah. So yeah, there's a way to handle that, one to many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the sustainable buildings are much different because there's they're putting things in from much smaller buildings, not just these tall buildings, and that's of interest when people have either maybe I think they're also tracking green roofs and
Yeah.
why it's important and interesting to them is because of this ordinance that happened in February 2023, which is it's the new green zoning ordinance. So these are the buildings, they're teasing out buildings that are a result of their ordinance, and so for them to be able to see what they've done is noteworthy because they've seen progress.
Yes, I mean,
So that's
and if
why
we
an
got this-
API that would just once they update their data, that would, that'd be great. So, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I'm not sure if they put anything on our open data portal for sustainable buildings yet or not. Maybe.
do you get, historically you start, putting charts and graphs and see their, trend, are they getting better, worse? And
Yeah. Sustainable buildings, we'll see.
yeah, that's good.
Certified sustainable buildings, and I'm not exactly sure what that is, what this data looks like, but
But yeah, this is where the language query goes, show me all buildings with a, gas usage over blah,
yeah.
and it will
Yep.
highlight and that sort of thing.
Yeah, we as far as building the agent, Jeff, I think that's what's going to make it really accessible for community. Because
Yeah.
people can just query, and also the city agencies can query, which I'm sure that they want transparency over there at sustainability.
No, yeah. Well, they want to show that we're doing stuff, and they also want to show that, I'm trying to see. So they got these Article 22, which is green building zone requirements. I've just talked to these planners, so it's good though.
I'll tell you, I'm impressed with the mesh quality in Cambridge. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, Google has an office here.
Yeah, I think they they went out of their way to make sure it looked good.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be monitoring these big data center energy consumption? That's going to be in the future, that's going to be a huge issue. These AI data centers that are going to be popping up all over the place.
Well, yeah, because they're gonna use some quantum amount of, yeah, we can't have any EV charging stations. The data centers are taking them all the power away, you know?
Exactly. It's crazy.
It will certainly be interesting to get, some stats on electric usage in the city, and maybe they do, I don't know. But I could see like something like that, being in Cambridge, so.
Your tree canopy looks pretty good, Jeff. You have a lot of, it looks, at least when Google did all the mesh, they did it in the summertime, thank God.
Yeah, they did an ordinance several years ago that you can't cut down trees in even private property unless unless it's diseased or a threat to your house or you get a permit. So, there's a lot of big trees.
Gosh,
People don't
you got
like
some,
that, but these areas that we're looking at now are all kind of redundant. But when you go into the neighborhoods, so now I question whether, you know, if these trees are reality or not, I mean, I guess so. They get the little trees or, well, what they're doing to make them, jump out like that. So
oh, you mean, I think it's LiDAR.
could be. Or a
But they,
photogrammetric point cloud or something. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty nice though. It's,
Yeah, we don't, I wouldn't think that we have many underserved neighborhoods, like a lot of times it's, shade equity, but I think it has
Yeah.
a lot more to do with that some places are more paved than each other because they were industrial. A lot of the city was
Yeah.
industrial in some of these areas. And then some places out in the western part of the city, it's super industrial. They're never gonna have trees over there just because it's paved and there's, so
Yeah.
one of the few places, but these streets like around City Hall, like so around my building there, they're um I'm not sure exactly when this mesh is from, but it's there's a tree that's missing in City Hall that was planted and it's I'm thinking that this mesh is probably somewhat dated. But it's hey, it's Price is Right, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one way to view the data. And my clients, most of the cities I work with like the mesh, but they also use the neutral colors and they like to use the neutral buildings. So it just matters your preference. But I think for people that want to, if you want to make a community outreach, kind of a chat agent that lets you ask questions about sustainability and get summaries and you get reports and things like that. It's probably better to have the mesh because it's just easier for people to relate to it. But if you're showing like flood analysis and things like that, sometimes it's better to have the white buildings or the gray buildings. So it just matters the communication.
Well, you kind
As
of got you got
as great
both.
as the
Yeah.
stuff we got from Blue Sky was, the data was just so big because the mesh we got it into Esri, but like the orthos, we couldn't even really. It was almost impossible to use them because the orthos that they generated for the mesh, along with the obliques, they were so 1 inch resolution sounds great, but it's just like so much data for us we're not that big of a city, so
Yeah.
we don't have image servers and stuff like that, so we just load the stuff up and hope it doesn't crash. We're still have physical servers or not physical, I mean, on premise service rather than doing a lot of the stuff in the cloud. We're doing Arches Online on the cloud, but we're not doing, we're loading data for our desktop software, which is still and those are all loaded on virtual servers. So
Yeah, Jeff, that's one of the things which we probably didn't. We still have some options there about installing a local server in your area for more performance. And the other thing we can do is actually an on-prem server installation of Nextspace as well. So you've got some options there. Yeah.
okay, yeah, that's good to know. I don't know, we're still figuring things out if like what we want to put up in the cloud. So we're moving. Our big project is just trying to get it. We're still use ArcGIS desktop, which, you know, many people, if you're like a small, you know, company or even a small city, you've done that a long time ago, but we had over, you know, 120 installs of it. So we're still trying to get people to either go to Pro or ArcGIS Online. That's who's using it. So some people don't need anything. These will replace some of the tools for them, you know, or things that we can create ourselves, you know, because they just want to view. And it's like, if we can put things together, then we're finding that. So there's a lot of people that are not going to have desktop software, you know, coming up. Only, you know, our utility folks will, and our you know, the tax assessors will, and, you know, some of our power users like over in the watershed group, you know, but, all right. Well, I appreciate the time. It's definitely, this is good. This is a good jump start for me to get going. I wish I was a little further ahead than I was, but this is good to get me going. So,
oh, well, let us know if you need help. I'm sure Peter can help. But yeah, perhaps we just need to get into a, you know, a slightly bigger, deeper project some point, Jeff, as we bring this together.
well, you know, I really want what I'm always looking for is questions that need to be answered, you know? So, I mean, what are the questions that from the sustainability folks they want answered, you know? So, we're also, to a lesser degree, we can work with some of the, you know, public works folks, but all the questions that are, you know, everything's going over to the planning office. So I will meet with those people and get something on their calendar, and you know, once I, you know, then I can show them some of this stuff. We're due for a meeting with them anyway, just from a lot of the work. So we'll probably have one, because we're trying to create a flood viewer for them. Whether, I don't know how that's going to come out, but anyway, so that would be a good excuse to also kill two birds with one stone. Go to the group, show them the flood viewer, and show them this, and it's like, what are you looking for?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we can build anything, Jeff, and it won't, you know, it won't take long. It's, you know, you saw what we could do today. It's not a problem. You're not going to get bogged down in functionality and, you know, but I do think we need to know exactly what sustainability, like you said, there are 5 priorities. You know, once you set up your demo, you can share with them, and you can, you know, work that out. But I'm excited about building in the agents, because I just think that's how we're going to do community outreach. Otherwise, people open up these maps and they don't know what to do, right? They search, or I would say 8 out of 10 people have no idea what to do. Here, they just type in a question, right? Or get a prompt. And they're used to that. They're used to talking to to somebody. Now it's going to be a machine, but still it's somebody. So good. So you're going to work on the data. That sounds like.
So what, so you have one public facing map. It's in Miami. Is that what, for cities anyway?
You know what? I think Mesa's going to be public, and I think Tempe's going to be public. I got a feeling about half of the Arizona cities are going to be public. I don't know about San Francisco. I have to talk to them and find out what they're going to do. But yeah, I mean, I would say half are going to be public facing or so. So and that's where, you know, the big Achilles heel for 3D maps has always been, you know, they don't have Google user interface capabilities. So this is going to change all that, because we're going to be able to just make it accessible to everybody. So, and smart. So I'm excited. I will send you some more stuff. Why don't we come back like next week sometime? When are you leaving town? When are you taking your vacation?
I'm going to be out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. So,
so let's
my wife has made an edict that we need to go away for a few days, and we've had a really busy summer. There, just crazy amount of stuff going on. 4 weddings, you know, daughter's having another baby. So, you know, yeah, there's just like, not quite yet, but it, you know, so yeah, so we've had a lot of distractions, over the summer here. So I think we need to, you know, just get out of town and to have a couple days, you know, in New Hampshire. So
yeah, great. Okay, thanks, Mark, for your time. Very enlightening.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
Thank you for, you know, I mean, yeah, it's just showing how easy it is to just join that stuff together. That's great, you know. So I would get some